hence all the overseas shoots. So I'm just going to open up questions to the floor. Anyone? No? Okay, you start in the blue.
Hi, this is for Anthony.
We've got a microphone for you to use.
Hi, this is a question for Anthony. Being British, there are lots of parts of the movie that I recognise. Was this a story that you made up, or was it based on an example that you saw? Because it's very, very accurate.
It's very, very inaccurate, you mean?
No.
Or accurate?
Very accurate. I mean, that I could just imagine that situation happening. So I wondered if you had just invented it, or
it's purely fiction. Yeah, it's really odd. When I had to do my graduation film, I tried very, very hard not to make it in Britain, because somehow I came up with this idea that the UK was very cinematic or very photogenic, and I just didn't want to make my film there. So I went on a backpacking trip to Istanbul, and I started writing a script about it. The next thing I came back, and the school said, because you probably know of this, government funding cuts, no student shall shoot abroad this year. Yeah, so we had our budget slashed, so it was back to the drawing board. I think when I was bouncing ideas with my producer, first, family is something which is very close to my heart. You know, I've made some films around that theme. And second, we all like the idea of doing a road trip. But somehow I didn't know where to start. You know, I came up with a certain premise. What if there was an absent father? So it came from there. And to be really, really honest, I was very, very self-conscious of writing about British society, because, you know, I was there only for 2 years, and to write about Britishness, I think you have to understand the nuances of class as well, the working class and middle class, and, you know, things like that. So it's really odd. And then one day I just came out with the idea: what if, you know, the mom drives the kids to this massive, huge rubbish dump and start throwing away all their dad's stuff? And I do remember the producer was in Cannes, and she called back from France, and she was like, I'm not sure what you're doing. I don't think it's a great idea, because if you start the drama so high, where else can you go? And I had no idea, so I had to write in order to find where the film was going. And I think eventually it's not so much about where you're making the film, it's about the universality of human emotions and relationships and dynamics that actually allows you to write stories about mankind. I think it's, you know, it probably can't happen in Singapore, because you can't really do a road trip. You probably start in Jurong, you end up in Changi. Yeah, but I hope that answers your question. Yeah, but it's purely fictional.
Anyone else? You in the black?
This question is from Stephanie. I see that there are some elements of Little Miss Sunshine, right? Are you inspired by that film?
Actually, it's not inspired by Little Miss Sunshine, but that's the problem. It's really odd, because when I made the film, you know, there was really a film called Little Miss Sunshine, so I was very adamant that the film can't look the same. So, you know, if you think Little Miss Sunshine, you think of the poster, you think yellow, you think, oh, it's very yellow because the vehicle is yellow. So I told, like, my production designer that none of the props, none of the costumes can be in yellow. Yeah, but oddly enough, eventually it had that warm golden look as well, because we ended the whole film in a cornfield, which came from another really irritating thing about me. You know, I was telling my producer, there's no way. I was very adamant that I don't want to see dark green foliage in the film, because I come from a tropical country and everything is green. So I was, you know, it became really difficult for us to look for locations, because I had so specific. I just didn't want to go there. Like, no dark green leaves, no green trees, no green bushes. So great, you know, I found a cornfield. Yeah. No, it wasn't Little Miss Sunshine. Not, I think you could see, when you do a family, when you do road trip, you think Little Miss Sunshine, but nothing. Yeah, it didn't really come from there.
The lady in the green had a question.
How much of that golden book that you mentioned was from the location, and how much of it was
It looked like that. It looked like that. I think we were at the peak of summer. The only problem with shooting cornfields is that you have to really beg the farmer not to harvest their corn. Yeah, so you kind of, and it's interesting because different plots look different. It depends on when they actually put down the seedlings or the seeds or whatever you call it. So in a way, you might go there and think, oh, it looks beautiful now, but you come back and shoot in 4 weeks, it's all gone. So in a way, it's kind of that. It's really what it was. Yeah, it was that beautiful. I didn't. In fact, when color grading, you know what? Student directors have this thing with color grading. Like they like to go into the grading suite and they go like, I want this to look like X-Men. I want this to look like. There is a lot of like Lord of the Rings. I want that blue look and all that. And it's you're really tempted to just play with and push things, like CSI and all that. But for this film, it was really interesting because we didn't do much in terms of the grading. We just played a little bit of the saturation, and that was it. I think it was a film that needed to find itself in being organic and being natural, and not about trying too hard to force certain things upon it.
So, which I noticed that you said in Airy, in your film, did you use the Airy camera?
Yeah, it was shot on Super 35 on Airy. I don't know, I'm not a techie person. Yeah, on an Airy camera, yes.
All right, lady in a cool fedora had a question.
Yeah, actually,
for everybody. Anthony, right? He was telling how he had this, where the story came from. And I was just wondering about everybody, if they can tell a little bit about inspiration and get to the idea of movie and so on.
Mine, I wanted to make a film about teenagers in São Paulo. That's my place, and I think we start to think about São Paulo is a very massive city. Like it's 15 million inhabitants. People live like in condos and in kind of HDBs, and the city's very gray as well. And I mean, how the teenagers they deal with like their problems nowadays, and how they use so many electronic devices, and they have some difficulty to deal with like a real one-to-one contact to each other. So we start to develop this script from that, and it's how it started. The father's away, she talks to her friends like by computer, and she has this problem to deal with real life situations. I started from that.
Anthony?
I think I have sort of answered that, right? Have I? Yeah.
For me, because I used to work as a promos producer, doing trailers and stuff, so I've seen like tons and tons of Asian films, television dramas, and so on. So when I did my film, I wanted to do something that I was familiar with, which was Asian in context, and a lot of what you see might look familiar, and probably because of subliminal consciousness, things like that. So story-wise, I just wanted to make something really simple so that I can concentrate on playing with set pieces and doing visuals and stuff. So I came up with a really simple story, probably cliche, some people would say, and just concentrate more on setups and visuals. So yeah, that's my inspiration.
Rehan?
I think for my film was my final film, obviously, and I was really concerned about making something that was deeply meaningful to me. And when I was in Australia, I experienced something that was really, I guess in my first year, was really uncomfortable. I went to a Muslim butcher, and that guy started really bitching about the Jews, and I was really, really shocked. I was really, really shocked because, like in Singapore, we're all, very accepting of everyone else, and racism is really quite taboo here, and most of my friends are, not Muslim, not Malay, Chinese, Indian, and so on and so forth. And I was really quite affected because I think Islam can never condone, such brutal and ugly behavior. Even in warfare, there are strictures, there are rules in place to govern all things in life. And I think as an artist, I think we should make stuff that affects us emotionally and intellectually. So for my final film, I really wanted to make something, and I went to search for a metaphor, which is a doctor, because all doctors are obviously healers, and it is quite a stretch for a doctor to be pushed to a point to help someone, to save the life of a person who is intent on murdering, thousands or hundreds of people. And I guess it's all about a matter of putting a character into a moral quagmire, a place whereby they don't really want to be and push them and push their buttons. And if they are a hero, they transcend that conflict, that self-conflict. And I think that at the root of it is the inspiration for me, the story of Anita.
He asked how did shooting overseas compare with their experience of shooting locally?
Obviously, I'll be beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I think that when I was in Melbourne, there were a lot more people who were willing to work with you. I think it's not really a fair statement because I've only been back for a year and I haven't really gone out and tried to make another film. But in Melbourne, I think there were a lot more actors and actresses who are willing to. For example, in my film, my cast basically traveled from Sydney, took leave from their full-time jobs, took leave and traveled from Sydney to Melbourne and stayed with me for a week. And they pretty much did it all for free because I think the industry there is a lot more mature, and they've had a lot of. They've been in feature films and things like that, and they believed in the work, and they really wanted to do something that was meaningful for them as an artist. I guess there were a lot more avenues as well. I guess there were more casting agencies that were really willing to help out. Amateur or student filmmakers. For example, for them, for an actor to bridge into feature films, I think they would work on short films simply to increase their portfolio and stuff. But from what I understand in Singapore, it's a lot more difficult, I guess, to convince a professional, to come aboard, work for me for free and stuff like that. Because there's no real commercial value in short films. Obviously, you can't really make a lot of money or any money for that matter on short films. And I think it's just a matter of, it's just a matter of our scene being a little, we haven't progressed to that point, and they've been doing this for a lot longer than we have, and the population is much larger, and so it's much easier to get people to work with you. But I think it is the challenge of any filmmaker, obviously, to convince anyone that there's a virtue in being a part of this production, and it's a challenge I'm sure that everyone here is up to.